Beautiful. That was beautiful. You are beautiful. You are beautiful. So much beauty in this room and in this world if we choose to see it, right? That's the key. Choose to see it. So I'm Reverend Rainbow, so grateful to be with you this day, sending love from Reverend Sunny, who spent the week in Denver at our convention with Centers for Spiritual Living, our greater organization. So she was there representing us, and she got reelected to the Minister Council, so she will continue to serve in a leadership role. So congrats to Reverend Sunny. Yes. So we are grateful, we are blessed. And we are loved, and we are love. And this month, our theme has been the colors of love. So we're wrapping up this discussion of love, although we know that love is who we are. Love is always the answer. So we're always talking about love here. We're given a little bit of a special focus this month. And the first week of February, I kicked it off by talking about, in general, what is love? And Ernest Holmes says love is the self-givingness of the spirit through the desire of life to express itself in terms of creation. So it's that ever-givingness, that flow of life energy that is expressed in each of us. That is love. And then week 2, Reverend Sunny talked about loving our body and really challenging some of those beliefs in the world and society about our body so that we can fully embrace and accept and love ourselves. So go back and check that out if you missed that one. It was a great message, followed by last week, which brought in our largest attendance since the Burning Bowl because it was the sex talk. Not that sex talk. But yes, we talked about sacred sexuality. And again, Reverend Sunny just really brought it to life for all of us and talking about this idea of embracing pleasure as an experience of the divine. So I still would love to hear what some of your homework was last week. PG, of course, on where you experienced joy and pleasure in your life. Last night we were visiting a friend and she had a dark chocolate candle burning and it was so delicious. And Cadence loved it, my 4-year-old daughter. So she's like, I have several. So she gives Cadence this candle and we got to light it in her room before she fell asleep to the smell of dark chocolate. So that to me, that's pleasure. Yes. And today we are looking at relationships. And specifically relationships as a spiritual path to awakening, because truly that's where they are. Yes. We're going to look how relationships provide that perfect playground for us to reveal aspects of ourselves, perhaps that before were hidden to ourselves, that we were blind to from ourselves, and to wake up to a greater realization of ourselves and others by knowing that truly there is only one life, one energy, one presence, one thing happening here, now, and always. Or as my daughter Cadence said to me the other day, just out of the blue, ran up to me and said, everything is this, and that makes you me. And I was like, who are you, little sage? I need to write that down. And she runs and she brings me this big piece of blue chalk, one of her sidewalk chalks, and goes, here, Mom. And I'm like, what? She's like, so you can write it down. I was like, thank you, Cadence. I already typed it in my phone. Everything is you. Everything is this, and that makes you me. That's it. The title of my talk today, very similarly, is I Meet No One But Me. I meet no one but me. And this topic came from one of my spiritual teachers, a friend, colleague, mentor from Chicago, Reverend Galen McDowell. And he gave this message years ago, and it just really stuck with me. And he shared that, so this topic has a lineage, that there is one of his favorite spiritual messages from one of his mentors, Reverend Ike, originally gave this topic, I Meet No One But Me, back in the 60s. So that's what I'm leaning into, and just knowing that all that wisdom is flowing through me as I present my version of this to you today. So I meet no one but me because I am always meeting the results of my previous state of mind. The byproduct of my own consciousness. All of life is simply a projection of our own perception. People in our lives can only show up as we see them or as we hold them to be. If we have a certain story about someone, that is how we will continue to experience them. Why? It's universal law. There's this aspect of this divine presence of God that is law. And what we know is that the law always says yes. The law, just like the law of gravity, is simply a response. It always says yes. It is this idea of the law of cause and effect. There is a cause, there is an effect. The law of attraction, what you put out comes back to you. These are universal laws, and it's how our world works on this spiritual dimension. So I meet no one but me because I am always experiencing the outward reflection of my own mind. This universal law is always reflecting our own consciousness, which is our thoughts and our beliefs. Mind is always the cause, and form, or our relationships, is always the effect. So are we choosing to play in the world of effect or go back to cause? Our relationships are that reflection of our own conscious and unconscious beliefs, our words, our thoughts, our actions. And people in our lives show up as our mirror, the effect, the reflection. Ernest Holmes is the founder of this teaching called the Science of Mind, or religious science. And he says, the mirror is simply something that reflects. You cannot scratch the reflection out of the mirror, but you can change the image in front of it. You are the image maker. So let us create new images which will reflect new patterns. And we must be definite in our conviction and deliberate in our aim if we expect happy results. For theories are no good unless they are applied. He's always reminding us that this is a teaching, it's a philosophy, and it's a practice, something for us to really apply in our lives. So let's talk about how we can do that. We are the image maker. We are the conscious creators of our lives. When you think about your life and you think about the different people and relationships that you have, intimate relationships, friendships, working relationships, all the various forms, parenting relationships of the relationships in your life, what is the common denominator? Me. You, right? We are the common denominator in our own lives and in our own relationships. And I love that somebody said love. They're walking that enlightened path. Yes. So if the common denominator in your life is love, then you got this. You got this. So let's see how we can always walk as that presence of love. We have to start by looking at the one in the mirror. Think about what kind of conversations are you having in your own mind about yourself and about others and about the world. We are always subconsciously attracting those people to us who are going to play into that story that we have about ourselves. And in every moment, we have the option to choose to keep circulating those old stories, to keep reliving that perhaps pain of the past, or to learn from it. Relationships are here to wake us up to what is ours to work on, what is ours to heal, to transform, to grow in our lives. And what's great is as we do this work in our own lives, we do it on behalf of the entire collective, because there is only one. It's like that ripple effect. When you throw a stone in a pond, there's a ripple effect. So as you choose to heal old beliefs, old patterns of lack, doubt, not good enough, not worthy, those buttons that get pressed as we relate to people. So as you choose to transform, to heal that, it uplifts the entire consciousness of humanity. So that's the good news. And we are always at choice. Our relationships show us those things that perhaps we've tried to hide away, to bury, those aspects of ourselves that we have perhaps just shut away and put in a little closet somewhere. And it takes the willingness of another person, whether consciously or unconsciously, to play this role for us, to be this mirror, and to show us those things that have been hidden from ourselves. When we look inward at the things that we tried to hide from others and ourselves, we are met with an exceptional opportunity for growth. Our lives are the way they are because this universal law always matches our conscious and unconscious beliefs. We get to tend the garden of our own mind. Our minds, just like a beautiful garden when left unattended, can just begin to grow with whatever thoughts and ideas are out there. But as we are deliberate and consciously tend the garden of our mind, planting those seeds, those desires, those visions of what we want to experience in our life, that is what we will see develop. But we must tend to it. Because a garden left unattended will just allow for whatever Mother Nature will have its way and whatever will grow. So it's called weeds. And just like your mind, those weeds will grow. And in our thoughts, in our minds, those weeds are the kind of collective unconscious beliefs of humanity. Those are those default patterns, those vibrations that are out in the world, those thoughts of what we call race consciousness, the collective kind of thoughts of the collective human race. When we're not mindful, those are the thoughts that seep in. Those are the weeds that begin to grow in the garden of our own mind. And usually they look like things like, there's not enough. There's not enough for everyone. I have to go for my own. I must, be right and prove myself. Those are those ego mind thoughts that are the kind of pervasive, unconscious thoughts of the collective mind. So we get to choose. It's our mind. It's our garden. And consciously decide what kind of seeds you want to create, what kind of relationships you want to experience. I know for myself, when I'm not intentional with my mind, when I'm not always, doing my spiritual practice and becoming clear on what my vision, my goals, my ideas, and how I see my life, then it's easy to just kind of get wrapped up in other people's ideas for my life. It's easy to get wrapped up in the collective consciousness, things I'm hearing in the media or in the news, and kind of get swooped into other things instead of being deliberate and intentional with what I want to experience. We are always at choice. So as you are deliberate and conscious with your own ideas, it's much easier to not get sucked into someone else's idea for your life. It's your life. It's your life. You get to decide. Stay awake, pay attention, and choose consciously to tend the garden of your mind and not get pulled into someone else's story or drama as that unconscious participant for what they have to learn and grow. As you are deliberate in your own mind, you get to choose. And you get to listen to what's stirring in your own heart by always asking, what would God, life, spirit, the divine seek to express through me right now, as it only can as me? And this takes strength. It takes strength to commit to knowing ourselves in this way. And it takes strength and courage to listen, to ask those questions, to listen, and to move forward by truly knowing oneself. Relationships is where we do our work. It's where we get to know ourselves more deeply, and it's where we get to see those things that perhaps have been hidden. I heard once this idea of relationships is like sandpaper. We rub up against each other, but at the same time, it's kind of like that refining process, yes? So that we can know ourselves more fully and another more fully and express life more fully. And here's the thing. What we see in others must be within us because we see it, because there is only one. The seeming good, bad, and ugly. When we are willing to take full responsibility for what is occurring in our life, it really can be an opportunity. So how we can practice this in a very practical way is to think about when you get triggered, something that bothers you in someone else's behavior. It's like an alarm clock going off. It's a signal that there's something you're ready to wake up to more fully and to understand more fully about yourself. When you notice something in someone else, there's that mirror again. What is it there to tell you about yourself? And that is when you can choose to be willing to forgive yourself, to forgive the one in you that perhaps is selfish, that perhaps is in fear or doubt, that perhaps is seeking to be right or to be in control, or whatever those things are. Those are just some examples from my life. Whatever those things are that may bother you outside in the world and other people. What is the opportunity for me to know about myself so I can transform those patterns in my own life? And am I willing to meet myself first and always with love and with grace so I can forgive that tendency within myself before just projecting it on someone else and judging them? And it doesn't mean that it's not like accepting other people's bad behavior. It's just a willingness to take responsibility and an opportunity to see what can I learn from myself and to love myself more fully. Forgiveness really is about ourselves and no one else, right? So I want you to take a moment now, let's just make it real. Think about a particular person that irks you. Sounds like it's not too hard to come up with. Yeah, just one for now. And if you are having trouble, you can, perhaps expand your mind to think about some politicians. That's always a good place to go to. So think of someone and then think of what is that specific behavior? Like what is it that really triggers you in that person? And kind of see if you can get down to the behavior and get down to perhaps even investigate what is underneath that behavior. So is it a need for love, acceptance? Is it an acting out from a place of lack, of fear, of unworthiness? And then turn that mirror to yourself. And where does that show up in your own life? Where perhaps do you have that fear of not being good enough that comes out in some sideways way? Where perhaps whatever that is lives in you, even in the smallest way, because we know that you're in this room, we're all enlightened, we're awesome. We're not those people that bother other people, right? Be willing to turn that mirror on yourself. And again, not in a way of shame or judgment, but grace and love and self-forgiveness, and to see it as an opportunity to know yourself more fully and you get to express life more fully, and then get to tend that garden of your mind by planting those thoughts of love, by getting to choose how you want to be in the world and how you show up, because you are the common denominator in your life. You get to decide. Take a breath. Just let that go. And now we're going to do the flip side. Think about someone that you admire and know that the qualities that they possess are also in you. So think about someone now. Make this real. Come on, think of that person specifically. And then what are those qualities that you admire in them? Strength, courage, wisdom. Hey, that's a song. What is it that you love and appreciate that someone else is a model for in your life? And now flip that mirror and be willing to see those qualities in yourself. As the saying goes, if you spot it, you got it. And we often do that with negative things, but what about the positive? If you see that talent and that beauty, then there's something within you that resonates, that is who you are. Breathe in and accept that as the truth of who you are now. Yes, take a breath. There's this idea in relationships, I'm sure you've all heard it, this idea that opposites attract, right? I think there's even a song about that. So many songs came up when I was working on this. So opposites attract. I have a different way of looking at this. Perhaps how I see it too is that we learn in life through contrast. So if we were with someone that was exactly like us, that liked to do exactly what we wanted to do, and that, communicated in the exact way we wanted, and we had all the same, ways of being, and everything was just so smooth and easy, after a while, well, personally, I would probably get bored. And also, what would be lacking is that opportunity to learn and to grow through that contrast. So to be challenged by someone else's way of being actually allows us to perhaps refine ourselves a little bit more, to expand ourselves, to be willing to see something from someone else's shoes, to be willing to grow within our own self. People come into our lives, again, as that reflection of our own consciousness. So if you can kind of think of an example of someone that perhaps is a little bit more frugal in a relationship, and someone who perhaps likes to spend or shop or have luxurious things. Just pulling out a random example here. She's like, don't talk about me. What we can learn in those opposites is the opportunity that perhaps the one that's a little bit more frugal has the opportunity to experience life a little bit more by spending and having nice things. And perhaps the one that loves the things and the beauty and to spend can glean from the wisdom of saving. So and it's not good, bad, right, wrong. It's just we have to do this kind of give and take that we learn from each other. So opposites attract because we have things to learn and to grow and together become this kind of more balanced way of being in the world. Yes? Do you see that in your own life? Yeah. So what if it's not that opposites attract, but perhaps it's divine fulfillment? It's the divine fulfillment of the law showing up in your life exactly what you need when you need it. Because truly, I meet no one but me. I want to share a personal story. A number of years ago, my wife, Heather, here, we were having this kind of conversation, dare I say argument, trying to work something out. And there was a moment where she said something to me, and I had this aha, because I had this memory. It was the exact same quote that my previous partner had said to me. And you ever have those wake up moments? I was like, oh, it is me. I'm the common denominator in this pattern. And it was the same story, the same pattern being played out, but just in a new body. That to me shows that relationships are here for our learning and our growth. And it's not about the other person. It's about what is for us to learn in this moment. And you can move from relationship to relationship and notice those patterns still coming because there's still something for us to glean. There's something to know from that experience. There's something to heal, to transform. It is our soul attracting that to us so that we can grow and know ourselves more fully. Relationships. Sometimes when we talk about this, it can just seem easy to be like, I'm just going to go live alone in the mountains. It's so easy to be enlightened with just me and Mother Nature. Yep, I've had those moments of the vision, the dream of the cabin in the woods and just nobody bother me, right? Well, Brene Brown says, we are biologically, cognitively, physically, and spiritually wired to love, be loved, and to belong. When those needs are not met, we don't function as we were meant to. We break, we fall apart, we numb, we ache. The absence of love and belonging will always lead to suffering. We need one another. We are wired for connection, for community, for belonging. And that's why I love what I get to do, because I get to serve a community where people from all walks of life come together and we rub up against each other, right? What kind of coffee? Is this too strong? Is this too, the whole conversation this morning. Do you want half and half? Do you want cream? Do you want almond milk, coconut milk, sugar, Splenda? That's just coffee. Just making it real, right, Colleen? But I love it because we get to learn, and we all want that desire of connection and love. So to remember that some relationships serve for a season, some relationships serve for a reason, and some serve for a lifetime. So the invitation is to pay attention to relationships in your life and what opportunity for growth are they providing? Are they playing out an old story over and over and over? Are you noticing that perhaps there's just something to learn from this particular experience and then move on? Or is it a relationship for a lifetime that you're committed to, that you're both willing to show up, taking 100% responsibility, no more, no less, and to learn and to grow together? You get to decide. You are always at choice because you are the image maker. And life is simply a mirror. Yes? Let's take that into prayer. So taking that deep breath now, and just letting all those stories, all the memories that perhaps have come up from different relationships and patterns and all of that, just letting all that go right here, right now, as we get to lean into the spiritual truth. The spiritual truth that love is all that there is. The recognition that life, that love, that joy, that peace, that freedom, abundance is the true essence of the universe. And therefore it is the true essence of who I am. That I am this love, that I am joy, I am freedom, I am abundance. I am the all in all. And it is all expressing in, as, and through me right here, right now. So it is from this place of oneness now that I speak this word in the first person on behalf of each and every person hearing the sound of my voice right here, right now, knowing that I am awake and aware, that I am ready, willing, and able to live a life of joy, to live a life of freedom, of love, of connection, and that all the relationships are simply that mirror for me to know myself more fully. So I step into this knowing, into this awareness of who I am. I know who I am, and I choose to plant those seeds of truth, of love, of peace, of freedom, of joy in the garden of my mind, knowing that they will be manifest. For that is the activity, the nature, the essence of the law. So now I know that I am walking in this world as this love, And that is what is reflected back to me. And I'm so grateful for all the many opportunities, all the relationships, all the opportunities to grow and to know myself more fully as I love myself first. Inviting this grace into this space right here, right now, of deep love and appreciation. And recognizing this love in each and every person I meet. So grateful. So grateful. As I release this word now into the law that always says yes, 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 my beloved, it is done, it is so. And with great gratitude and great acceptance, we say, and so it is.